Celebrate the soul of the holidays and support Altadena and Pasadena. Join us on Monday, December 15th, 7 p.m. inside the Bram Goldsmith Theater at the Wallace in Beverly Hills for Soul of the Holidays, a joyful night of Motor City soul, gospel, and holiday classics featuring an 18-piece band, all-star vocalist, and community choirs, all in support of the Black LA Relief and Recovery Fund. This performance comes at a pivotal time for many in Altadena and Pasadena. This is their first holiday season since the devastating Altadena Eden Canyon fire, which destroyed homes and community spaces. While the physical losses are immense, the power of community remains, and your attendance directly supports recovery, resilience, and renewal. So, be sure to join us Monday, December 15th, 7 p.m. inside the Bram Goldsmith Theater at the Wallace in Beverly Hills for Soul of the Holidays, benefiting survivors of the Altadena Eden Canyon fire. For ticket information, just log on to tickets@thewallace.org. That's tickets@thewallace.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580 and the Black Freedom Fund.
First things first.
Things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DePrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in to First Things First with the Queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DePrima. Go sis.
First things first.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580, First Things First with Dominique DePrima. But guess what? I guess y'all figured that out by now. I am not Dominique DePrima. My name, or as the graphic says, hello, my name is James Farr, and I am filling in for the one and only Dominique DePrima, the Queen, is taking the day, and it's me and you and Miles and these telephone lines, and we're here to talk to you on this Thanksgiving Eve. I guess that's a real thing, Thanksgiving Eve. Let me tell you what we're gonna do today. It's a Wealth Building Wednesday, but in our third hour, I'm looking forward to this. We're gonna have a family conversation. Los Angeles Rams broadcaster, St. Louis Rams Super Bowl champion, radio sports personality and host, my cousin DeMarco Farr. He's going to be joining us in studio. We're going to have a family conversation. You know, two Farrs that are on LA radio one time for the good times. He's coming up in our third hour, and it's a Wealth Building Wednesday. In our second hour, we'll hear from Perry Bennett, the owner of Perry's Joint, as well as Omar Younger, who has Omi's cold pressed juices. And if you have not been to Perry's Joint or tried these juices, actually, we're going to sample some in studio this morning. They are the bomb. And in our first hour, joining me is he's a contributor on Fox Soul. He's also a contributor here at KBLA Talk 1580 as the president of ES Advisors Group, a public affairs consultancy firm. He is a frequent guest and consultant on many political campaigns, and probably one of the, that's not a probably, he is one of the smartest people that I know, and I always look forward to his opinion. Mr. Ed Sanders, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning to you. How are you?
Man,
And good morning, KBLA chat. Happy Thanksgiving Eve. I hadn't called it that before, but looking forward to the day.
I don't know where that came from, Ed, but I guess that's the kind of stuff that comes up when you're on radio and you have to kind of announce what today is.
What day?
But it is, it is Thanksgiving Eve. There's discussions. I've been reading the news, and I don't know. Are you traveling this weekend? You staying local? What does the holiday look like for you?
No, in fact, we're local. We got family here in town. We all get together tomorrow and bring all the families together for a big feast. And looking forward to that as always. Cousins, the new additions, the new engagements, the new weddings to plan for, all of that takes center stage, but that we're thankful for.
What's that one thing that you look forward to? Now, don't embarrass the family now, Brother Sanders.
I know, right? You see something popped in my head, and now I've set that aside, and now I'm going to give the public answer.
I thought I could, because you consult people on what to say, right? So
yeah, you almost got me to go there with it. No, we're looking forward to it. It's just we get together often, but this is just a day that I think we start most of our family meals off with prayer and we're thankful. So just kick it back, finding out what everyone's been up to. We don't run a singing contest. We don't run a dance contest. we'll have some fun.
I mean, dominoes. Are you leading the wobble? You got your boots on the ground. Like I know something in the Sanders household is what everybody is looking forward to. They say traffic today, the best. The worst times today are between 10 and 4. I was reading, right, and just the gridlock. 80-something million people across the country will be traveling. Millions will be traveling here in L.A. and all 12 million people that we have in our area. You got to pick anybody up from the airport. You got any tips for anybody? Because you're a pretty seasoned person, and what you got for the people?
What's funny, as you said Thanksgiving Eve earlier, I was kind of, it's been almost like a week, because if you got kids in school, a lot of the schools are taking the whole week off.
Right.
And that kind of blunts some of the travel today, right? Because folks have already been off and done some of the travel. But notwithstanding, boy, if you've got to get down to LAX, get there early. There is no secret passage that I've yet found to get in on a day like this. Believe me, I looked.
and those ride share prices, man. Whew. Gosh,
they jump up.
Man, you pay a mortgage, at least a car note. Trying to get through there. Something that and I wanted to, because you're obviously you're a father, a doting father, a soccer dad, a sports dad. You're very active with kids and sports. But what's been top of discussion and out in my neck of the woods, out in Pasadena and Altadena area, is, could this past Saturday have been the last UCLA home game inside the historic, legendary Rose Bowl? You got any reaction to that? Any thoughts on that?
Honestly, I hope the UCLA athletic program comes to a sound future decision, right? And the move to the Big Ten, UCLA deserves to be in the upper echelons of any college sports divisions, and the move to the Big Ten was a solid move. That stated, they haven't put a product on the field that puts cheeks in the seats, right? And so, I think the Rose Bowl, I haven't looked at attendance, charts, but I pretty sure UCLA is towards the bottom third of the Big Ten for sure.
They've been in a decline for the last, I want to say 5 years. So since post-COVID, they've seen their lowest average attendance. Going back even 10 years ago, they were averaging, 70-something thousand fans. But is it the product on the field, or is it the guest experience at the stadium? Because I got stake in this, right? I live in Pasadena. My tax dollars support and hold up. They use a lot of water, right? So is it the experience?
That's the next part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the next part of it. I mean, I'm 6'6", so if I step into the Rose Bowl, I have a uncomfortable, 3 hours in front of me. I could barely sit in the seats because the seats are much smaller than some of the other stadiums. But notwithstanding, you started it off with historic Rose Bowl. The new shiny toy is the SoFi Stadium, and SoFi Stadium is an incredible football experience. And while the Rams and Chargers play there, you could very easily see UCLA or even SC playing there, right? Like it's just a fantastic football experience. SC has the Coliseum, and they're happy with the Coliseum. The Rose Bowl is not near campus. It's not like the SoFi Stadium is near UCLA's campus either, but it is a new shiny toy, and if it helps with recruiting and it helps with the football experience, they should strongly look at it and take a look. I'm old enough to remember when UCLA played at the Coliseum, so the move from Rose Bowl to SoFi doesn't seem that big of a deal to me.
Let's do this, Ed. When we come forward, I want to pick this back up because you're on to something. My guest is Ed Sanders. You're listening to First Things First. You got me, Miles Lowe, Ed Sanders. The phone lines are open. It's a good time for you to get in. 800-920-1580. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. We got your black.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. We want to speak directly to our listeners in Altadena and all across Southern California. Recently, we invited Southern California Edison to join a town hall so fire survivors could ask questions and get clear information about the Altadena Eaton fire and this so-called settlement fund. Weeks before the event, the law firm originally connected to the program withdrew, and we provided SCE updated materials confirming those changes. But despite that, SCE later stated publicly and privately that they were pulling out of the town hall because plaintiffs' attorneys were participating. That was not accurate, and SCE knew that it was not accurate. But when shown documentation that disproved their claim, SCE ignored it and declined to correct the record. At KBLA Talk 1580, trust is not an option. It is the foundation of our work and witness. It is the promise that we make to you. And so we will not move forward with any partnership that misrepresents the facts or undermines the credibility that we have built in love and service to this beloved community. Our commitment remains with the good people of Altadena. We will continue providing independent, verified information to support your recovery without interference from any outside entity, including Southern California Edison, so you don't get burned twice. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Lowe's early Black Friday deals are going fast. Don't miss up to 50% off select major appliances. Plus, up to an extra 25% off when you bundle select major appliances. And with Christmas around the corner, you're gonna need more string lights, right? Save $4 on GE LED 100 count string lights, now just $5.98. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 12/3. Selection varies by location. Select locations only while supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
250 years ago, a promise was made to connect families and friends near and far. And during the holidays, that promise is more important than ever. That's why USPS is building a better network to meet your needs with timely deliveries, easy and affordable ways to ship, and everything you need to make your season full of holiday cheer. Our purpose is delivering your peace of mind, knowing your love will arrive, bringing joy to all. The United States Postal Service. Learn more at USPS.com/holidays.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DePrima right now.
That's right. You're not getting back to Dominique DePrima. I'm James Farr, and I'm sitting in for Dominique DePrima. You got me, Miles Lowe, Ed Sanders is on the line, and we were talking about the Rose Bowl, and Lynette, I see you there. We're going to get to you in just a second. But Ed, so what I was trying to understand, because you've done a lot of consulting, with government agencies, municipalities and the like political campaigns. So the Rose Bowl is owned by the city of Pasadena. It has an operating committee, which is structured as a kind of governing body, but everything has to be approved and go through the city council. My question, and I know you don't necessarily have the answer, but maybe you can just disabuse me of this notion that our electeds failed and didn't do their damn job. But how do the government officials muff this up? As soon as SoFi came online, I heard you earlier saying SC, you can see either one of them. SC ain't going nowhere. This makes perfect sense for the UCLA Bruins. What say you?
Yeah, USC has a stadium that's essentially on campus, just given proximity, and so
right.
They're not moving, and they have the lease to run the Rose Bowl. The Coliseum, so it's a different situation altogether.
They basically own it.
Yeah, they have the operating contract to it. It's still a state, county, and city owned entity, but nonetheless. The Rose Bowl is the Rose Bowl, and I think there's also one side of this that I lament in college football is that the big name bowls aren't what they once were, right? And a lot of times you're getting the Rose Bowl several days off of January 1, and that tradition has been altered with the advent of college football playoffs and all of that. Very difficult for the Rose Bowl to adapt to that climate, especially with the program isn't putting cheeks in the seats. I
got to push back though. I don't believe that even if UCLA were halfway competitive, and I don't believe that they will ever be competitive in the Big Ten. That's just not the kind of athletes, as they say in sports. They ain't recruiting them kind of dogs, right? So at best, we could hope that they're competitive, right? But the fan and guest experience is so bad at the Rose Bowl, right? I don't know. There's this arrogance in the city, right? This entitlement that many Pasadenians have that, and I get the nostalgia and prestige. It's the granddaddy of them all. It's America's stadium, but it is a toilet bowl with a huge ring around it that the Bruins have seemed to wipe. City is now suing UCLA, which means they're suing the UC Regents, which means they're suing the state of California. So you got two government entities, and UCLA is filing a suit, basically saying, please don't leave, please don't leave.
Well, they have a lease, right? To be honest, Rose Bowl has a lease, long-term lease, I think to 2040 or 2045 or something like that. I could be off, but we'll look and see. But UCLA is under a long-term lease, and if you were leasing out an apartment and wanted to break the lease, you can expect the landlord to have something to say one way or the other.
Well, they have, but in this case, what they've done, what the city of Pasadena has done, is filed a lawsuit because their tenant went and looked at an apartment. To use your example, right? They hadn't done anything, and to your point, if there is a lease, right? the landlord still has to mitigate their damages. Like you still have to try to find another tenant. They can negotiate what those payments would be to satisfy that lease, but then the city still has to mitigate its damages, and one sponsorship deal at SoFi will pay that lease back. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, the business opportunity in front of UCLA is clear, right? And I think the athletic department and even some of the boosters and some of the fans see it. You know, if you know, there's the thought that if you get to SoFi Stadium, you're now at one of the newer football stadiums in the country that has all of the bells and whistles, has all of the experience. That it starts to jumpstart the turnaround of the program and the product on the field. You know, there's a lot to that. There's a lot to that. You know, I've got a high school age boy. He plays basketball, but you know, and talking to some of the kids about you know, the experience. Their high school had a chance to go and play at SoFi Stadium, you know, for one of the games this year. That the stadium opens up for high school games, and you know, it's a wow moment. You know, it's, you know, if you get a chance to play at any of those stadiums, it's a wow moment. Over the weekend, basketball was at Pauley Pavilion with some high school games. You see the excitement that the kids have from playing on you know, these big stages that are here in LA, and you know, to be able to have that as your home field. It's a definite plus, and I think a lot of folks that play football would like that. So we'll see what happens with UCLA. They have to, you know, it's a lot of money, and I think that's where, you know, a lot of people have to push back, because you're talking about a state-run university, you know, investing millions of dollars into, you know, breaking a lease and trying to establish, you know, a college football entity. I mean, it really is a college football business.
It is a business. I mean, just think of the recruiting. Now, to UCLA's credit, it will help with recruiting. I mean, if you're recruiting a 5-star athlete, you know, you're essentially telling them you can spend the next 10, 12 years right here in this stadium, right? And you know, if they are able to move up to that next level. Lynette's calling. Let me see what Lynette, what you got for us this morning? You got to add in James.
Good morning. Reparations in memory of our ancestors, and we know the struggle continues, but always to God be the glory.
Amen.
Yeah. Amen. You know, and the season greetings to you, Mr. Farr, and to you, Mr. Sanders. I caught was the DRM news over the weekend. There was an impeachment, sort of like a rally over at the Lincoln Memorial, and there was thousands of people out there. And I'm just wondering, had you guys had any take on this, because they're talking about impeaching Trump by Christmas. And also, I would like to send my condolences to Mother Fletcher, who is one of our Queen Mothers, Black Wall Street, who recently passed, and H. Rap Brown, as he is known, but his Imam Jamil Abdullah Al-Amin, and for Jackie Stevens, one of our women pioneers in radio from KBLA radio for years. And about the Rose Bowl, you guys, I mean, hey, it is what it is. I mean, it had its time. I mean, you know, they didn't have many black vendors at the time when I was back there. You know, people had the sublease to be in the concession stands, you know. Mm-hmm. And with SoFi, they have more black vendors. And they have community benefits kind of a agreement, you know. So it's supposed to get better. And unfortunately, the UCLA players, like you say, due to DEI exclusionary things, and the UC board being so dysfunctional. I mean, how can we have better players and things like that? Because it's clearly against the student populace, I would say,
Well, that's a whole mouthful, Lynette, and I can't talk that much in cursive to try to get to even break through that. But Ed, what this impeachment thing, I guess it was a gathering. I'm trying to Google it right now, but
the regime rally, yeah.
I guess what she's saying, Trump getting impeached by Christmas. I say that cynically, right?
Yeah, I'm not even sure they're going to be in session. The way Mike Johnson is, if he thought that was even a possibility, he'll hold Congress out for 3 years.
Right.
But no, I mean, I'm glad folks are continuing to organize. We're here in LA. I'll be honest, I hadn't seen the rally until Lynette just spoke on it, and first things first, thankful for her to centering us back in our conversation about UCLA and the Rose Bowl on what matters, right? What the impact of that is to our community, and that's right, and I appreciate her doing that. The idea of Trump and the idea of impeachment, I would say this, I think clearly we've got to win the House back after these elections before that can even become a near reality. And, our number one contributor, Molly Bell, and I have been having an ongoing debate really about the Prop 50, and whether we should do it. I wasn't supportive of the move to go after Prop 50.
Me either. And I think we shared a lot of the same arguments. A more persuasive voice in my house got in my ear, which usually we don't mix. Mixed politics that way, but what I want to ask you about, and I'm watching my time, and it's almost time for news and sports. But I want to get your reaction to Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm gonna tap into a little bit of the national in this hour because I got such a packed 7:00 hour. But when I saw the news first break. We're gonna get to that, right? But when I want you to sit with this. When I saw the news first break, I said, "Wow, is there a God, or is this woman really that crazy? Like, what would make her leave when she was such a strong MAGA Trump supporter?" All the Epstein files and all that. We'll pick that up. You got Ed Sanders. You got James Farr. Miles Lowe is back there. 800-920-1580. It's a good time to get in the queue. We want to hear from you. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. We got your black.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Former FBI Director James Comey and Black New York Attorney General Letitia James had their federal cases tossed. James spoke out last month after pleading not guilty to federal mortgage fraud charges.
This is about all of us and about a justice system which has been weaponized.
The DOJ will appeal. A black firefighter in Bloomfield, New Jersey has filed a $25 million lawsuit alleging racist harassment, including a colleague confronting him with a noose and using slurs. Patrick Thomas says leadership failed to act. The accused firefighter is suspended and facing bias intimidation charges. And Dr. Jermaine Worrell has become the youngest president in Savannah State University's history at age 36. The former Augusta Tech leader plans to make SSU a doctoral granting institution and a top HBCU in Georgia by 2035. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Is this the cover? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
More good times for the Lakers, more misery for the Clippers. The Lakers won their fifth straight game Tuesday night, dominating the Clippers 135-118. The Lakers are 13-4. They're tied with Denver for the second best record in the Western Conference. The Lakers' big three combined for 99 points. Luka Doncic had a game-high 43 plus 13 assists. Austin Reeves dropped 31. LeBron had 25 and 6 assists in 32 minutes. The 135 points was the most allowed by the Clippers this season. The Clippers are 5-13. They are 2-11 since November 3rd. The latest college football playoff rankings are out. The top 4 seeds in the 12-team field: Ohio State, Tavis Smiley's Indiana Hoosiers, Texas A&M, and Georgia. If these teams remain among the top 4, they will get a first-round bye in the playoffs. The final rankings and 12-team bracket will be finalized on December 7th. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit CASMPvolunteer.org. Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit CASMPvolunteer.org. In a city as big as LA, healthcare shouldn't feel far away. That's why Cedars-Sinai is breaking down barriers and bringing resources like free screenings, vaccinations, and wellness programs into local communities. From Leimert Park to Lincoln Heights and everywhere in between, Cedars-Sinai is showing up, partnering with over 200 local organizations to improve access to healthcare resources. Because care doesn't just happen inside a hospital. It happens in neighborhoods and places around the city where we live, work, and grow. Cedars-Sinai, here for LA. Established in 2020 during a time of deep racial unrest across our state and country, the Black Freedom Fund was created to make sure that leaders and organizations working to support Black communities and build power have the resources they need to stay in the fight for the long haul. We believe that those closest to the issues impacting our communities know best how to solve them. That's why in just the last 5 years, we've granted more than $45 million to over 200 grassroots organizations across California. That is the largest collective investment in Black organizing in history, and we're just getting started. We are clear-eyed and committed, more now than ever, to our people, our power, and our possibility. Join us in creating a future where Black people harness their full power to shape their lives and realize a just world for all. Learn more at fundblackfreedom.org. That's fundblackfreedom.org. The Black Freedom Fund is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
This holiday season, KBLA Talk 1580 wishes you and yours joy, peace, and prosperity. As we celebrate with family and friends, we're already looking forward to an exciting first quarter, packed with must-attend events to kick off the new year just right. In January, join us for our inaugural Brotherhood Brunch, bringing together community leaders, change makers, and everyday people for inspiration and connection. February means it's time for our signature Black History Month luncheon, a powerful celebration you won't want to miss. And in March, Women's History Month, we're once again hosting our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium and Luncheon, addressing the issues that matter most inside our community. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, happy holidays. Stay tuned for more details on these incredible upcoming events. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice, your community, your power.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And that's right. You're not waking up with Dominique DePrima. I'm James Farr, and I'm filling in for Dominique DePrima right here on First Things First, KBLA Talk 1580. You got me, you got Ed Sanders on the line, you got Miles Lowe back there. The phones are open, 800-920-1580. That's 1-800-920. It's a good time for you to get in this conversation on this Thanksgiving Eve. Ed and I were talking before we came forward, and you know, this Marjorie Taylor Greene she announced her resignation from Congress effective, I guess we might as well say in a month, but in January. And for that nut to crack, I just scratched my head, and you were one of those sensible, sound voices, and so I couldn't wait to get on air with you because I figure you could help me. What happened? How does that happen?
Well, I think the first thing is that there's an internal fight for, MAGA, right? Like the situation they find themselves in is Donald Trump, has control of the party, has had control of the party for the last, 8 years here and 9 years. And, his MAGA movement has drowned out, their populist. He has been their populist movement. Mm-hmm. And what you see with Marjorie Taylor Greene, which is kind of interesting, is she started advocating. She started to sound more like a Democrat. I thought she might switch parties. It was the way she's been talking.
Don't do the Democrats. No more favors, man. But go ahead.
But I mean, listen, she was out on, what are we doing? We're cutting health care, we're closing the government, all those sorts of things. Just counter to where the Republican caucus was. Mm-hmm. And, she has a voice in that MAGA movement. We're talking about her because within the House, she was one of the top 2 or 3 personalities in the MAGA movement in the House. And so that's a significant voice to thumb their nose up and stand up to Trump and his momentum. Now, the price that she's playing and the lessons that she's learning is that the Trump and the MAGA movement control the money, right? She couldn't raise the money now, to compete against, these the groups that come together to finance our opposition. She'd get primaried, and she's right. She would face a brutal election there.
But she's playing victim now, though.
To run for president. Yeah.
Wow.
I think she's setting up to run for president, right? It's either that or, she's going to come into broadcasting just to make as much money as she can. I've seen signals of both from her, right? Mm-hmm. I think she could be really comfortable just making as much money as she can on TV and everything else, but I wouldn't be surprised if she tried to run for the White House.
Yeah, Marjorie's hot takes would be we can flush them down the toilet bowl out in Pasadena all the same. But again, I don't the victimhood and first of all, I mean the threats that she says she's getting, that's not cool, right, for anybody, and I'm not making light of that, right? But when you advance politics, when you advance policies, right, when you advance agendas such as those who are 10 toes down in the MAGA movement, now you crying? Help me make sense of that.
Yeah. I mean, look, I have to give her credit. It may be an awakening for her. She could have been so delusional to think that that everything that she was saying didn't cause pain on others. She's experiencing it, and she acknowledged that what she was doing was did cause that sort of pain and threat to other people, and she seemed to apologize or lament it. James, I can't believe you got me up here caping for him.
Hey, brother, listen, I'm not captain, and I can't save you.
I will give her, I will give her credit for acknowledging it, right? Like, all right, tip of the hat in that regard, but should have never had to have gotten to that.
Right.
A lot of the things that are said in that MAGA movement are clearly obvious that they cause threat to people.
Well, something that she did say that I and I've learned this from Mr. Smiley, right? And I've known this, but in this space, right? I've learned this from Mr. Smiley. Saving that room for grace, right? Because I'm a work in progress. You throw a pebble at me, I may throw a boulder back. So pray for me in that respect. But she did touch on the economic impact, right? The we think about healthcare premiums increasing as a result of that ugly bill, and when we look at people will have less money. We had a repairman at the house, refrigerator repairman, and my wife kind of joked with him, the joys of home ownership, right? And my house is 101 years old, right? Old house in Pasadena. But the young man, replied to her, I won't ever know what that is. Not in California, right? I can't afford it, and he's working a full-time job. So as we think about as we're coming into Thanksgiving right now, right? The eggs didn't drop. I don't know how much a turkey costs. That honey baked ham got smaller and more expensive. How are people gonna make it? Like, how do people make ends meet at this time? Because I know the stress level can be up. Doing some reading, they say Thanksgiving is cheaper, but not for Black families living under economic pressure. How are folks gonna make it through this season?
Well, like as we always do, collectively, and some of the solutions forward are rooted in that as well. While we've seen some significant job loss, unemployment numbers within the community rising, there's still this question over the economy. The administration points to some figures that tell you that the economy is booming, but you can look at, the impressions of Americans who think, really, really poorly of this economy. And it starts with the tariffs. It, continues with the gutting of some of the healthcare benefits, and ultimately, to your point, the affordability doesn't feel optimistic to people. And no matter what those figures say, the American people don't feel the optimism of the economy, and politically, that's a bad place for any incumbent to be, and he'll have to suffer those. But for us, as a community, Thanksgiving is our chance to come together as a family, right? And while we pray together, we eat together, we should also talk finances together. And to your point of young people looking to buy, do it collectively, get the support of the family, bring family solutions forward. And I think all of us in our own personal conversations have wanted to track closer with families and family members and on finances and that sort of stuff. But make sure your family's whole, just see where you can lend a hand with others in the family.
Yeah, one of the things that Dr. Melina Abdullah and Black Lives Matter Grassroots has as an initiative is Black Xmas, right? And really, with Black Friday coming up, and I've never been one to just run to the stores. Like, just that part of consumerism doesn't appeal to me. But, folks running to stores and trampling over people. And, what Dr. Abdullah is advocating is that, if your mom is into the arts, right, make a donation to an art foundation, a Black-led foundation or organization. Just for example, like, you don't need another sweater, you don't need any socks, you don't need the stinky cologne. We've even talked about not Reverend Jesse Jackson, but Jesse Jackson Jr. on his show talked about folks buying stock in Southern California Edison, right, and using that as a tool that they can then advocate. Younger people aren't spending money on expensive gifts anymore. What's the tradition in your family? Because, and I'll say it out loud, we've never given our children a substantial gift and wrote the name Santa Claus on it.
Yeah. I mean, you want your credit. I get it.
Santa got the dime trinkets,
right? right. Because I remember waking up to the Star Wars Millennium Falcon, and Santa did great, for me back in the day. but no, certainly you get older and you want to give your parents the credit for whatever that is. Look, I mean, it's thoughtfulness. I think you touched on the key point, which is we can fall prey to the consumerism and the desire to get the new shiny thing, and I'm as guilty of it as anyone else. What you laid out and what I admire and am going to take more heart to this year is being more thoughtful with the gifts, right? And so if it is, tickets to an art museum or something that, for nephews and nieces and cousins, or however you divvy up your gift giving, create an experience that they wouldn't normally do, right? And broaden someone's horizon on something.
Well, according to this, I want to squeeze this in here. According to this Reuters article, records U.S. Black Friday crowds to find fewer bargains amid higher prices. And so essentially what they're saying is tariffs will not yield bargains, right? There will be fewer deals. They're saying the math is not going to math. Basically what this article is saying, keep your money, right? Just keep your money. When we come forward, Ed, I want to continue this in this space of Thanksgiving, this black economics. Talk about these boycotts, these economic boycotts that are happening. One comes to mind, Target, led by Pastor Jamal Bryant out of Atlanta, Georgia. And are they effective? Are they having an impact? We'll pick that conversation up when we come forward, only on KBLA Talk 1580. We got your black.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Established in 2020 during a time of deep racial unrest across our state and country, the Black Freedom Fund was created to make sure that leaders and organizations working to support black communities and build power have the resources they need to stay in the fight for the long haul. We believe that those closest to the issues impacting our communities know best how to solve them. That's why in just the last 5 years, we've granted more than $45 million to over 200 grassroots organizations across California. That is the largest collective investment in black organizing in history, and we're just getting started. We are clear-eyed and committed, more now than ever, to our people, our power, and our possibility. Join us in creating a future where black people harness their full power to shape their lives and realize a just world for all. Learn more at fundblackfreedom.org. That's fundblackfreedom.org. The Black Freedom Fund is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580. In a city as big as LA, healthcare shouldn't feel far away. That's why Cedars-Sinai is breaking down barriers and bringing resources like free screenings, vaccinations, and wellness programs into local communities. From Leimert Park to Lincoln Heights and everywhere in between, Cedars-Sinai is showing up, partnering with over 200 local organizations to improve access to healthcare resources. Because care doesn't just happen inside a hospital. It happens in neighborhoods and places around the city where we live, work, and grow. Cedars-Sinai, here for LA.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, vendors, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project.
Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Kohl's Black Friday deals are here. Grab your coffee and put on your sneakers because it's go time. Through Saturday, save up to 50% on everything from toys to beauty faves, winter styles, and more. Plus, earn $15 Kohl's Cash for every $50 spent. Yep, that's extra Kohl's Cash. So run, don't walk. Just hold on tight to that coffee. Select styles, some exclusions apply. Coupons and Kohl's Cash do not apply to Sephora. Offers end November 29th. See store or kohls.com for details.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio. KBLA Talk 1580.
That's right. You're live from Leimert Park. This First Things First. Dominique DePrima is the host, and I'm not Dominique. Y'all figured that out by now. I am James Farr. I host Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, which airs every Saturday at 10 a.m. with a replay on Sundays. We're the show of record, and we're chronicling for the nation the deadly and devastating Altadena Eaton Canyon fire. And you've been hearing all of that right here on KBLA, our ongoing riff, if you will, with Southern California Edison gas lighting, Black Altadena, and certainly this station. Ed Sanders is joining me. Miles Lowe is back there on the boards. The phones are open, 800-920-1580. That's 800-920-1580. Ed and I have been having this conversation as we get ready to get into this holiday tomorrow, this Thanksgiving. I don't see Ed and his family doing any pilgrim reenactments over that turkey. But Ed, we were talking about, I wanted to get your take on the boycotts, right? In the economic boycotts. Target comes to mind. Like, are these working? Are they effective, or are they a waste of time?
It depends on what your goal is in it. I think ultimately, yes, that the conversation is being had, right? That as a retailer in this country, to pull back as a not just a retailer but an employer, to pull back on DEI, and what that means in the statement that it is saying, particularly to African Americans in the country. You've got to feel that heat, right? Obviously, the Trump administration came in. That was a big thing. It's not just with corporations. We're seeing it with schools, universities, that sort of thing as well. And so, wherever we're seeing this retreat from from entities acknowledging the hurdle that African Americans have to get over to reach equality. We gotta stand and fight that. And so, in this regard, yes, challenging Target on the point and seeing some modest results. Right, you could see that they had to react to it. They did suffer a few quarters of depressed sales. Some of that could be tied to the economy, but nonetheless, even when there's a report or a story about it, they're referencing the DEI protest as one of the reasons for declining income, and that's not good for any CEO.
Well, the CEO got actually a promotion up to the board level, right? And I'm not, here's why I'm not buying it, because not quietly, I'm not a big football fan. I don't watch that much at all. I watch college, not that much NFL. But Target is a huge sponsor of the NFL this year, and so I think what they have strategically done to kind of mitigate this pushback in community is they've gained a larger presence with, who's in the stands in the NFL stadiums, right? And so and it just amazes me, all the woke progressive people I hear just casually, I'm getting ready to run to Target, right? I mean, so I'm trying to make sense of all of it. What you got?
Yeah, I mean, in some sense, we picked Target, right? Because let's just take the other competitor to Target. If it were Walmart, I have my issues with Walmart and as a corporation and how they pay their employees. I could pick a fight with every major corporation, and I'm sure you and I could do the same on that. Mm-hmm. In this case, I get it. It is a for us trying to build that sort of unity that we can have a more pointed impact is a challenge and something that we've got to continue to do. I think you can impact more locally, particular stores, right? Like if we had organized groups out in front of Targets in our neighborhoods, you could probably, impact on that level. But a lot of Target sales are online as well. And, you and I both know, like what you do on your computer, the people are going to buy whatever is convenient for them. We've got to find some ways to create alternative ways to get the products that Target sells. Right?
I struggled with it when they were saying, the essentials only do this. And I mean, what it does is, and first of all, I'm not against it, right? And I obviously stand in solidarity with folks who
agreed.
Who choose that as their path of resistance, right? I'm not telling anybody one way is better than the other. I resist in many other spaces, in any other places, but I don't care if I go to, Target doesn't make me happy. I don't go there like that. But, my concern is with this inflation and stuff, right? Like things are not any cheaper, right? My wife was telling me she was at, the Colonizer Joe's store, right? And
Trader. Trader Joe.
You said it. I was speaking of an Ideal show store rather, and a steak was $47, and we running hard on the time, man. And I could do this all day. I can't just to button this up, man. How are you sustaining your hope in 30 seconds? I got to get out of here.
Hey, man, it's I started it with keeping family around you. I live my life that way. We experience life, get outside, get outdoors, but spend some time with loved ones, and make sure everyone is doing well. Have the conversations. Don't assume people are doing well. Ask them.
Check in. That's right.
Yeah, and to your point, you actually don't know what people are going through, and conversations here or there unlock, a line of thinking that, can save a life or set somebody on a path that changes their life. And so, to your point, check in with everyone.
That's Ed Sanders, president of ES Advisors. He's been, someone that I enjoy speaking with. Regular contributor right here on KBLA, Talk 1580, First Things First. Good time to get into the phone queue. Ed, thank you so much. Happy, Thanksgiving, happy Family Day. Let's call it that, the whole Thanksgiving thing. I live in gratitude every day. I try to wake up and help the sun. Like when we come forward, it's a wealth building Wednesday. I got two amazing guests. News and sports is up next, only on KBLA Talk 1580. We got your black.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Former FBI Director James Comey and Black New York Attorney General Letitia James had their federal cases tossed. James spoke out last month after pleading not guilty to federal mortgage fraud charges.
This is about all of us and about a justice system which has been weaponized.
The DOJ will appeal. A black firefighter in Bloomfield, New Jersey has filed a $25 million lawsuit alleging racist harassment, including a colleague confronting him with a noose and using slurs. Patrick Thomas says leadership failed to act. The accused firefighter is suspended and facing bias intimidation charges. And Dr. Jermaine Worrell has become the youngest president in Savannah State University's history at age 36. The former Augusta Tech leader plans to make SSU a doctoral granting institution and a top HBCU in Georgia by 2035. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarette.